Hey guys, welcome back to another daily dose of God's Word. Alright, so today we are going to be talking about the difference between God's voice and Satan's voice. This is something I really struggled with for years of my life, trying to decide whether or not if it was God talking to me or if it was Satan putting a thought in my head. Especially when it came to opportunities in my life. I used to always think like, oh, this is a God opportunity. God's bringing this opportunity to me. But as those opportunities went on, some turned out really good, and then some turned out not so great. And it's in that moment where I would get frustrated because I couldn't tell if God was speaking to me or if he brought this opportunity to me or if it was Satan putting lies in my head and being deceitful and making me believe that I was following God's path. So, let's dive right on in. We are going to start off in Zechariah 3, 1 through 2. I do want to put this thought in your head. And I heard this in one of my devotions, and it has been a saying that has been stuck in my head since I've heard it. Satan can put thoughts in your head, but he can't hear our thoughts. He can only put them in there. So, as we go on through today's daily dose of God's voice or Satan's voice, keep that thought in your head. So like I said, we're going to start in Zechariah 3, 1 through 2. And this is what it said. Then he showed me Joshua, the high priest, standing up before the angel of the Lord, and Satan standing at his right side to accuse him. The Lord said to Satan, "The Lord rebuke you, Satan. The Lord who has chosen Jerusalem rebuke you. Is not this man a burning stick snatched from the fire?" Guys, I absolutely love this. It reminds me of watching a TV show and you have like the good angel on one side and then you have like the devil on the other side of your shoulder. And it's almost like this angel is going over to the other shoulder and kicking Satan right off your shoulder. But how true is that image? You know, every day we have God trying to speak to us on this side, and then on the other side we have Satan on our shoulders trying to speak louder. And when that happens, we can get so confused as to who it is speaking to us. So, if you just don't know whether if it's God speaking to you or if it's the devil, talk to him. He will reveal to you the truth. I mean, the truth is in here, and when you are connected in here and with him, you will be able to see and to hear that truth. So along with that, let's jump to Mark 4, 14 through 20. This one is a really good parable that Jesus speaks about. So let's jump right on in. The farmer sows the word. Some people are like seed along the path, where the word is sown. As soon as they hear it, Satan comes and takes away that word that was sown in them. Others, like seed sown on rocky places, hear the word and at once receive it with joy. But since they have no root, they last only a short time. When trouble or persecution comes because of the word, they quickly fall away. Still others, like seed sown among thorns, hear the word. But the worries of this life, the The deceitfulness of wealth and the desires for other things come in and choke the word, making it unfruitful. Others, like seed sown on good soil, hear the word, accept it, and produce a crop. Some 30, some 60, some 100 times what was sown. How true is this? Just like when you're planting, if you don't plant those seeds correctly in the ground, the roots have nothing to attach to. And so that's like us in our faith. If you have no place to set your roots for your faith, you will forget about it and your faith will die. I can't tell you how many times this has happened to me, especially like in middle school and high school. I got sent to Bible camps every summer. And every summer, I gave my life to God over and over and over again. But then the school year started, and it was just like whatever happened that summer was forgotten, and almost like it didn't mean anything. And then the next summer came, and then I would give my life to God, and I'd be like, all right, I feel good, I feel great, I'm God's child, I'm gonna spread his word, etc., like all that stuff. And that happened because I didn't have a proper place to put my roots of faith, and I allowed worldly things and the world to take control and to take over and snatch my faith up. Now, I'm only sharing this because I want you to know you're not the only one that has this happen to. You're human beings. You live in a sinful world. There's a lot of worldly things that we desire and that we want. But if that desire, if that worldly thing takes your focus away from God, that's where it becomes a problem. And that's where Satan really has a ball, and he uses that to take you away from God, because that's what he wants. He doesn't want us to be near God. He doesn't want us to have a relationship with God. So he uses a lot of these worldly things to make us lose focus on our Savior. I can honestly say that has happened to me a lot of times. I'm not perfect. I don't want to be perfect, and I'm going to be honest with you guys. But ever since I've grown stronger in my faith these last couple of months, I can recognize when I'm allowing worldly things blind me and take control of my desire and my want for God. It's in those moments where you have to decide if you're going to make that change, or if you're going to continue to allow that worldly thing, that worldly desire take over. In Matthew, it talks about the deceitfulness of wealth. If I'm being honest, I stress out about money all the time, about finances all the time. For 6-7 years of my life, I was doing it all by myself. I was having to figure out my finances for myself and for my kids. And then when I met Brian and Brian came into my life, it took me years, like 3 years, to come to this place of acceptance, of allowing someone else to provide for me financially, and to let go of that need of money, that need of being a financial provider. And allowing to let go of that, I was able to add more space to allow God to work in me. it was a great feeling. It's an awesome feeling to be able to let go of something like that, because truth of it all is that's a very hard thing to not want and to not desire in this world where you need money to survive. So I'm not saying that there's nothing wrong about, you know, wanting money to provide for whatever situation you're in. The problem is that if your main focus is set on money and not on God providing you your finances, or that money is making you miss out on time with God, that's where the trouble is. That's where Satan can come in. And I can honestly spend a whole day talking about this. So I'm gonna stop in this moment, and I will come back to that to a different video. But I do want to give you guys one last verse. It's 2 Corinthians 11 through 14. Another great verse as I was reading. And it states here, "And no wonder, for Satan himself masquerades as an angel of light." Guys, Satan is deceitful. He will disguise himself as an angel to make us confused, or he'll make us confused so we can't tell the difference of whether God is speaking to us or if he's speaking to us. Again, like I stated earlier, when we don't know if God is speaking to us or if it's Satan speaking to us, instead of trying to figure it out yourself, talk to God about it. I'm going to bring up 2 examples, and I find them really funny because, well, it's funny to look back on now. For those who know me, I love basketball. I played basketball since I was 6 years old. I had dreams of going to the WNBA, all that stuff. I didn't follow through because, one, I didn't go to a 4-year college, and 2, I always thought I was very short for that. It wasn't until last week, Monday, Brian and I, we were watching the Bucks, and I was telling, and Milo was joining us as well, and I was telling him about how it was one of Mom's dreams to become a WNBA player. And so that night, I decided to look up the qualifications to become a WNBA player. If you could even still try out for the WNBA, whatever. I'm a person that loves to dream. I'm a person that if I have a dream, I want to try and fulfill it. It's a blessing and a curse in disguise. There's some dreams that are very realistic that you can go after, and then there's other dreams that just need to stay as dreams. So the next night, Brian and I, we were driving over to our friend's house, and I brought this idea up to him, and I told him, I was like, you know, I could actually try out for the WNBA. And Brian was just like, yeah, you know, we can make this happen, but you're going to have to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and start training, and we'll set you know, equipment up in the barn, and you're going to have to go out there and do cardio, all this stuff. Like, we were literally planning out our days for training. And this all sounded great. And I'm like, yeah, you know what, this is doable. Like, I love basketball. I could do this. Like, if I really want this, I can make this happen. So after we were at our friend's house and on our way home, we were talking more about it. And I'm like, you know what? This is just a dream. It's a wishful dream. But I can feel God telling me that that's not where he wants me to be. And that right now he has me where he wants me. You know, I'm home with my kids. I'm given this opportunity to share this peace and this good news with you guys. So why would God want to take me away from that? Because the truth of it all is, with WNBA, you're traveling all the time. I would be away from my kids. I wouldn't have time to do this. Honestly, I probably wouldn't have time to get into the Word. And so it was just like, in that moment, like I felt peace, because for once I heard the truth. I heard God speaking to me. And even the other day, another example, the other day, guys, I'm not a perfect parent. I get angry at my kids. I get short-tempered at my kids. Not a lot, but when I'm feeling very overwhelmed, it's so easy to get just short-tempered. And sadly, like, I was just yelling at my kids yesterday. I was just so mad. And the truth of it all is, I said things I shouldn't have said to kids, you know? And in that heat of the moment, I could tell God was saying, you need to go and apologize. And I flat out laughed at God, and I said, God, I'm so mad. I'm not going to go apologize. 10 minutes later, even in the heat of my anger, I went into my kids' rooms. I snuggled with them. I cried and apologized to them, because I felt like I failed like a mom to them. And I didn't show a good Christian leader in that moment. And so I kept crying and I kept apologizing. And after that, like, my anger had gone down. My kids had forgiven me. And I could feel God saying to me, well done, my child. When you can feel God speaking to you, when you can hear God speaking to you, and when you know the truth, you will get to see it, and you will get to tell the difference on whether God's speaking to you or if it's the devil. So if you want to know the truth, if you want to know if God is speaking to you, turn to Him.